Well, hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Tonight, as you can see, I'm started doing the masking for the top saucer on the JJPrise, and it's taking me a couple of hours just to get this little section right here done. So I figured what I'd do is go through and show you the process of it, doing two panels here. So I've already got my piece cut out for my my pie wedge, and each pie wedge will do two different sections. So we have a negative and a positive. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to zoom in and kind of take you through and show you how this lays down. So what I'm going to do is zoom in and see if you can get there. Alright, now first off is I always do there's a little bitty piece that goes in the center. I always start on the negative side because it's easier to pull some of these pieces off, and some of these pieces I don't set in until I get a lot of it done, until I get some of it set down there. So I'm just going to set those on. I'm not going to tack it down too hard until I get this piece in, which will go right in there. And now that this piece is on, I can sit there and take my negative piece and start setting it in there to where it'll match. And then I'll just kind of match the other side, but I'm not going to do too much with that one. I got a piece that's going to sit right there. First time I started doing this, the sheeting was kind of confusing. I'll show it to you. Let me back out. As you can see there, it's quite. It gives you all that, and so it kind of makes you go cross-eyed for a second. But once you start, I didn't start right here next to the rib. I started on the next one out, and then I worked my way around, and then the last pie wedge I'll be able to put in there, and then once I get them put on, I can cut them off and get them back on, get it to where it needs to be. So I'll zoom back in again and show you where you can get a better shot. And like I said, right now there's just a little bit of we're not getting it all set in there until I get this next piece in. That's what you have to kind of sort of do on this to get it set down in there right, to make sure it all lines up. Sometimes it takes a few times to get it set down in there correctly. There we go. And we'll take the next piece and put it in right there. Sometimes they don't go on straight the first time, so you may have to peel them off and set them back down again. So you can see how the pattern's starting to go. Now tomorrow I'll be able to I'll have all this finished masked off. I'll have this up here taped off, down the rib taped off, and I can start laying in my colors. Like I said, most of these are going to be blue, so for there. Now right now those are going to just sit there until I get my other pieces laid in. It can be challenging at first when you start doing this if you're just starting out. It can be very challenging, and it's very tedious too, because some of these maskings just don't want to lay right. Some of them may just be cut just a hair bit bigger than the model piece, and sometimes they don't lay down in there just perfect, but you can always, work to get them as good as you can possibly get. And these come up pretty easily, so once you get the hang of it, it'll start going a lot faster for you. Now if you notice right here, there's a little marking. I'm gonna see if I can zoom in a little bit more. I don't know if it's gonna catch or not. But right here there's a little T. So some of these maskings are gonna have to come, get marked, cut off. Same thing right here on the rib. I'm gonna back out some more. Like right here on the rib, they're gonna have some that's gonna have to be cut down the back side and then around this back piece, and then there's going to be some that you're going to have to cut like around the phaser banks. Those are going to have to be trimmed, but for the most part you won't need to do that. Now I know on the 1/1000th scale maskings, they're so small and tiny that it's a very tedious. I mean, they're so small that it takes time. With those, what's taking me an hour, 2 hours here would take me 2.5 hours on a small. Will take me about 2.5 hours just to lay these right here, maybe about an hour and a half or so, but it's gonna be right around 2 hours, because these pieces up in here are so tiny that it takes forever to move. And then these pieces here, I'm just going to set down here because they're not don't know exactly where they're going to lay yet, so I'm just going to take a few times to get it right. Once I get this piece in here, like I said, a lot of these you're just going to have to lay in there until you get it you get a certain piece put on, and you'll start noticing that real quick. And see, now that I've got this piece put on, I can go in there and square up these pieces to make it fit the way it's supposed to, and everything else will start lining up after that. Alright, then we have our piece that goes on there. Like I said, don't panic if you mess up on it. It's an easy fix. These maskings peel off real easy. What you can do is get it down on there and then manipulate it to where you need it to be. Sorry about the loud noise in the background, folks. That's the heater that came on. It's a little chilly right now. Some of these pieces can be pretty stubborn. There we go. Now right here's an example of why I'm saying some of these pieces are cut just a little bit bigger. Now if you have a good sharp hobby knife, you can go in there and take and cut that little excess off. To make it fit down in there if you want to. I mean, you don't have to. You can try to manipulate them to where they need to be. Alright. One more piece. Alrighty, well there you have it. Most of the top saucer is done. I'll be back out and let you get a better view of it. So what I'm going to do now is go off camera and finish these two pie wedges, and then mask off this area here to where I can start tomorrow. Start putting down the blue edge, the blue, you know, the color, the Aztec colors, the iridescent colors. And I found out watching a fellow modeler on a YouTube, he gets a lot of his supplies from auto supply paint stores, and I got this I think it's 1/8 inch blue vinyl tape would go, and it works really well for doing the seams. And then what you can do after you get that laid down, you can put masking tape, because masking tape is kind of hard to fold. So then once you do that, I'll be ready to start laying in my blues, and then a few panels of gold here and there. And then this kit from Aztec Dummy comes with tertiary color pattern, random pattern masking for this, so you can go in there and you know, move it over and do a few shots of green, a few shots of red, and all that kind of stuff like that, and it actually will look real well. Don't know, I went through today, got all my sanding done on top and bottom, and went through and finally got all my areas painted, touched up, painted, so it's coming along real well. And so the next couple of days I'll have the top done, you know, painted, and get ready to do some of the detail work up here. So until then, we'll keep you informed and have a good one. And as they say out there in the modeling community, happy modeling, everybody. Good night.